Welcome back to episode 5. Episode 5. Today we have
took
our
us
first
5
guest.
Episodes.
To get a
took us
guest on
5
here?
episodes.
To get a guest on here?
What?
To get a guest on here?
Yeah, to get a guest.
Yeah.
5 episodes.
Jazmin, how do you feel about being the first guest on America's future #1 listened to podcast?
I'm excited. I'm really thrilled. I'm really honored. I think it's going to be a good time.
A celeb.
A celeb. A D-lister.
That we got to give a proper introduction. And it's going to be tough because I don't even know. You are a mystery to me. You're mysterious. I mean,
why?
I know what you do. I know what you do. We've talked about it at length because I'm so interested in it. I think it's like just the craziest job. It's the coolest job.
I would agree.
Yeah. Do you love it? Are you obsessed? Like, is it your thing?
So what I do is I'm a wardrobe stylist. I do like celebrity styling, and before all of this craziness that is our new norm, I did a lot of red carpet styling for like award shows and like events and big things like that. So I would help clients get ready for like, you know, the Golden Globes or the Grammys or the Kids' Choice Awards.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I told you. She's legit. She's legit.
So my job is like putting their looks together and kind of like creating their image, like style wise, like what they're going to look like in PR photos and anything from like red carpet pictures to like press stuff to even their Instagram pictures. So I'll like help them with outfits and create like a style for celebrities or influencers, YouTubers, whoever.
Big name.
Name some celebrities you've worked with that you think we'd know.
I hate when I get this question because I literally always.
I know it's.
I don't know why. I've been styling for like over 10 years. I've styled. Like,
didn't you just let me help you? Yeah. Didn't you just? I know you do a lot because I know you from like the influencer world. I was like, involved in that world. Blah blah blah, whatever, sort of. And as far as that, I mean, didn't you just style Addison Rae not that long ago?
Yes, thank you.
Really?
There you go. That's a big name. There you go.
You actually did help me out because like that video that I actually styled the music video that Lorraine put out, and it got like, I don't even know right now how 70 million views, like something monumental. So I styled the whole thing and it was such a fun experience. And I have styled like Janelle Paris. She's on like she was on a show called Pretty Little Liars. Pretty Liars.
Yeah.
Pretty Little Liars, yeah.
Paris Hilton years and years ago.
Ooh, that's a big name drop.
Yeah. I'm like trying to think of people that like people would know. Like YouTubers.
Yeah, I know. See, for me, it's a lot of the influencer world, which is the cool thing to me because they're, the new media. But yeah, she's legit. Great job, cool job. And but we met and we talk and we bonded over what this podcast is about, which is panic attacks, anxiety, and things of that nature.
Yeah, I'm so happy that like you reached out to me and talked to me about anxiety because it's something that's not talked about enough. And I will always chat about mental health issues because it's a huge part of my journey here in life.
Jazmin, where are you from?
Yeah.
I'm an LA girl.
Okay. So did you grow up there?
Yeah. My parents, like my family's Italian. So culturally, I was raised like very Italian, but I've been in LA all my life.
I went to LA last year, 2 years ago. First thing I saw was a man peeing on the street.
It's disgusting.
Literally the first thing I saw.
Well, you were in the wrong part, right, Jazmin? He was in the wrong part.
Depending on where you are, it's a mess.
I saw Jazmin. I went to her side of LA and it was like beautiful.
There's so many nice little pieces in cities and
Pasadena was like, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was a cool area.
Like, I would say on the outskirts, like if you're not from LA and you don't know, you just think of like Hollywood, and then you think of
Hollywood, exactly, which is the worst place ever.
Yeah, it's not the cleanest, not the nicest, but so I live about 45 minutes away, like more, in like suburban life.
Yeah. How did we met on like Twitter. We started talking about anxiety, and ever since then I moved to LA and then we met, and you're like one of the first people there that I like connected with, talked to, and we had this thing in common where we had pretty similar anxieties, I feel like. And how it affects us, at least like we're functioning, you're very high functioning, like
she has to be, right?
I mean, it's because my job is very high pressure, but it doesn't give me anxiety.
Really?
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a lot of like spontaneous, like, okay, for example, a lot of the times my clients book me and they'll send a text or like call me up and be like, hey, I'm going to need outfits like tomorrow. I know it's last minute. Can you make it happen? Like, so it's very like spontaneous and like in the moment you have to kind of be ready to go. But I feel like I work well under pressure.
Yes. Like when it's comes time to do it, you're fine.
Yeah. Like I think staying busy is something that really helps with my mental health, because when I have too much time on my hands to kind of think, it's when things get rough.
What part of your job
could not agree more.
Brings the most anxiety?
To be honest with you, it's more stuff that's like personal to me, like irrational fears that I have.
Okay.
Like,
dive in. I want all the irrational fears.
So I guess like before I start going into specific like scenarios and things, like I have general anxiety and I've always struggled with panic attacks. And I went through a phase where it was like really bad with panic attacks. But okay, so yeah, that's like a main thing that I have to mention. But what was the question? Oh, work, things that give me anxiety. It's more of my surroundings. If it's in an environment that I feel uncomfortable and like not safe in, then I'm really uneasy. And it's so random and irrational, but it's like little things. Like even certain places, like I won't want to take like the elevator. And so that's like a whole thing, because as a wardrobe stylist, I'm carrying like tons of garment bags. You can't just do 7 flights of stairs. To get everything upstairs would be like an hour.
You don't want to take the elevator, or you won't take the elevator?
I don't like to. Like,
okay.
So certain things get in the way, but it's never the job itself.
Okay. So it's just normal life stuff that just happens to happen.
Exactly.
You mentioned to me before driving, right? Is that a thing?
So a huge thing for me is that a long time ago I had a couple panic attacks while driving. And like LA traffic is wild and there's a lot going on and there's, it's crazy. So I was on the 101 actually going towards Hollywood to meet up with some friends, one of the times, like, and it came on, the hot feeling, the whole thing. So I started to get super anxious, and something about me with my anxiety is I will get really bad panic attacks to the point where like I'll faint or I'll pass out.
Okay. Yeah. I've read about that. I actually read about a guy who I don't know if you want to hear this, but he fainted in an elevator because I think it was one of his first panic attacks and it got so bad. And I've never heard of that. But I guess that's just like depending on person. Like, I don't know.
I get it though. I get it because it's very overwhelming and it's like a shock to your system. And if you're fearful enough, you're gonna like turn off.
I think a lot of it too is when you're having a panic attack or you're having a really bad anxiety moment, like you're not breathing. So you're kind of holding your breath. And I think that doing that, you can kind of like, black out. You can just go. So, and it's just like a rush of emotion. So maybe it's that too. I don't know.
Max said you deal with panic attacks. Would you say you have panic disorder?
I would definitely say I have panic disorder.
Okay.
But right now, like with anxiety and mental health issues and panic attacks, for me personally, it's been a very up and down. There's been good seasons, there's been bad seasons. So right now I'm not currently dealing with like tons of panic attacks, which is great.
This is why I relate to you like super hard, is because like the high functioning and like seasons of anxiety, like I relate to that so much because there are times of my life, like months and months, where no one in the world would ever think that I have anything to do with anxiety. Like I'm just careless and barely think about it. And like, that summer in LA, there was a summer I was in LA and I just wasn't even thinking about anxiety. I was just so occupied, so busy, just wasn't even thinking about it. And you said earlier, staying busy is like so vital. And I couldn't agree more. I think it's like, honestly, for me, like number one for like, staying off that path of anxiety, panic, and just being in that headspace.
I fully agree. I think the more you focus on it, the more it takes over. I think when you have other things to occupy your mind and your time, you're more inclined to like have your focus shifted to those things.
Oh yeah, totally. You don't even have time to think about. I mean, it starts with one thought that just spirals, and it's like when you're busy, you might get one intrusive thought, but you don't have time to spiral down that. Like you might be able to catch that, but you're gonna like get back on track to whatever you should be doing. So yeah, totally. That makes sense.
Yeah. And before I forget, because I'm so ADD, I feel like you said something that really reached out to me, or that really stood out to me when you reached out to me. You said like, oh, day or night, whenever, whatever, like whenever you need to talk about anxiety or you're having anxiety or you need to call me, like call me. Like not very many people say that. And I think just saying that to someone puts them at ease, like, because they know that they can call you up, even if they never do. It's just like something that really stood out to me. So if any of you guys are listening and you have anxiety and you know someone who also has anxiety or whatever, that's just a huge comforting statement to make.
Yeah, I'd say it's to, like, especially people who I know, like, again, like you and I, who it's like this back burner thing almost. Like it's not always the focus of our life, but it's still this thing that we think about and we know could take over at any moment. So when you tell someone like you or like me, like, hey, just call me, you're good. Like, just call me. I'll remind you, like I'm there. It's just like, it's a relief. And it's
definitely a relief. And I feel like sometimes when you're in that moment, at least for me, I don't know, I'm interested to hear your guys' perspective, but for me, it almost feels like when you're in that panic mode or like really bad anxiety mode, you need saving, like you need help, like you need someone, you know what I mean? Like to kind of like ease you or, so I think that's why it's really comforting.
Who are those people that like when you have a panic attack, like who are the people that you go to first? Is it family? Is it friends?
So for me, in my experience, my mom has been the person who I'm like, she's my go-to. I'm really comfortable with her. And she's also experienced like anxiety, mental health issues. It kind of runs in my family. I have a lot of different family members who also experience it. So I feel blessed. It sounds weird, but I do feel so blessed that she knows like what I'm walking through, because I think it would be really hard to try to describe something to her that she's never felt.
Yeah. Does your family live in LA too?
Yeah, I actually live with my mom and brother.
Oh, nice. Okay. I'm sure that helps a ton. How about flying? Like, can you travel alone? Like, can you do this stuff?
Oh, we had that. We remember this? She called me one night or one day and was like, I think we were both in LA at the time, and you were like, hey, I kind of want to go to New York for this, I think it was work.
Yeah.
And it'd be quick, and I want to do it. And I was like, I feel I was like, I want to get on the plane. Yeah. It's so bad too. But yeah, what I don't believe you ended up going. But
so I didn't end up going, and flying and traveling is really hard for me. Okay. I'm working on being able to not have like my house as my safe space. I'm the kind of person who wants to be home to cope. Like I feel like I need to be like at home. That like the further I am away from my house, the more uncomfortable.
The harder.
It is.
Yeah, and then you have
the harder it is for anxiety
and then you have agoraphobia built off of panic onto that. Yeah, so it's like I'm a very homey person too, and I've always been like that. And it's like when I started having panic attacks, it was obviously I just wanted to be home. Like it was even stronger because I had that interest my whole life of just wanting to be in my room a lot of the time. So
yeah. I can relate to that.
The travel thing's tough.
The travel thing is tough. And like, let me circle back because I didn't even finish what I was talking about, but I had the panic attacks while driving. And then I got afraid that I was going to have a panic attack, pass out, crash, kill someone, kill myself. Like it became this huge fear. And then I worked on it. And then I drove again and was back like behind the wheel, feeling good, feeling confident. And then I went through a bad season and now I'm not driving. And like, I feel like that is something that like weighs on me. Like it's something that like I feel upset about. And I think we all have different things that like make us feel very like, I don't know what the word is, like helpless.
Like less confident.
Yeah. So that's something that's really frustrating. Yeah. But I don't know. Do you guys have one thing that makes you feel like you are, I don't know the right word.
Helpless. Like we don't have it in us.
Like not, I guess, like your independence or like you, I guess.
It's traveling. It's traveling for me. I think, wait,
can you restate? Can you go over that again?
So like, I guess what I'm thinking is there something that you deal with your anxiety that makes that you feel frustrated about because it's something that you think that everyone should be able to do, like something as simple as going to the supermarket and
Jazmin,
then those fluorescent lights are kind of killing you.
Yeah,
Jazmin, Max and I have talked about this a lot, but it's like vacation for us isn't vacation. You know what I mean? It's like going on a trip to California with my friends is amazing. And I want to do that. But what like, it's just like, it is vacation. After the first couple of days, like you get over it, you can do it. But behind that or in front of that is a wall of just panic. And it's not vacation in my eyes. Like initially it's like it's a life challenge.
You're getting through it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and Max and I have talked about that on a previous podcast. Like it's traveling is what is pissing us off most lately, because it's like, that is what vacation is, something everyone should experience. And it's like, why is vacation making me more stressful? Well, yeah, it's panic. So that's funny.
Yeah. It's so annoying and frustrating because you want to be able to enjoy the vacation and not just get through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. I remember as a kid, well, not even, I mean, like, you know, as a teenager and a kid or whatever, when I would go to Florida with family, you know, weeks heading up or leading up to it would be terribly anxious, wouldn't eat, blah, blah, blah. And the plane was the thing I was afraid of. And, you know, I would take my Ativan and get on the plane. And then I would get to Florida and I'd be like, oh shit, I'm not even okay here either. Like I'm still anxious because I'm not home. And so it always bugged the shit out of me that like I can't enjoy vacation. That's like the thing that people are supposed to do. That's like the thing. And I watch YouTube videos of people like, oh, we're going to the Bahamas. And I'm like, oh, that sounds awful. That sounds terrifying and scary. And like it would be fun when you get there, but leading up to getting there would be terrifying.
Yeah, I feel that 100%. I feel like traveling is such an ordeal that it just makes you not even want to go at all.
But it's not an ordeal like it is for other people. Like my mom, who like doesn't like TSA, you know, it's like, oh, that part sucks.
Yeah, there's
and I'm
definitely
like,
some like
yeah,
travel,
that part is
travel anxiety
really
that people
easy
deal
to me.
with. Yeah, there's like your I mean, people have like
like normal stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's just being in an unfamiliar place for a lot of people, like it's just uncomfortable. But I feel like for us, like traveling is one of the
it's biggest. Like fear rather than like stupid things you don't feel like going through.
Yeah, it's definitely like a crippling anxiety versus like, oh, you know, this is annoying.
Yes. That's a great way to put it, because people always come to me like, I have anxiety too. I really hate taking tests. And I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. That's not what I'm talking about.
Jazmin, do you ever worry about having a panic attack like while you're like styling, or are you just like you mentioned, you're just too busy? Like, is that a fear?
Typically, that is not a fear or a concern. Okay. When I'm working and when I'm like in that work mode, in that zone, I'm very comfortable. And it's like almost like a safe space. I feel also really blessed because my clients are really, really close to me. So if I'm not feeling well and I needed to like step outside, go to the restroom, regroup, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I feel comfortable doing so. And styling is just a very personal thing. You know, you have to connect with the person. And some of the girls I've been working for, they have been my clients for like 5 years. So it's like a close friendship.
Yeah. Gotcha.
That's good. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Wait, so I want to bring it back to and I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Why the fear of fainting? Where did it begin? How did that start? And how does it affect you now?
Do you have a fear of fainting?
Yes. So I'll give you a brief rundown of, I guess, like, so, okay, let's go to childhood. I had my first panic attack at around age 12. So as a child, I was completely fearless. I didn't struggle with anxiety as a kid, like under 12. And then
prior to that.
Yeah, once I hit middle school, so that's when I first experienced anxiety, but I was able to kind of be more resilient and kind of shake it off. And like, I didn't let it really trip me up, like, or it wasn't big enough to kind of like stop me in my tracks. But then when I was in my early 20s, I had just turned 22, actually. I had a really, really bad panic attack, and it sent me. Like, I had the panic attack and I fainted, and then I got so freaked out from the whole experience, and just from the sheer fact that the anxiety could cause me to faint and could cause me to be so out of control, that idea really messed with me. So then I started to become afraid of fainting. I didn't want to experience that because it just seemed so overwhelming to me to be that out of control that you just pass out. And then another fear that kind of followed that was the fear of being alone. So I always wanted to be with my mom, my brother, my friends, somebody, because what if I fainted and I was just there on the floor and like no one was going to help me? Like, so that was like always in my mind.
So that's another thing that we, can relate to each other on, is because the root of both of our fear is a loss of control. So I fear a loss of control of my body with throwing up and being sick. And actually, I mean, I'm sure I would have a fear of fainting if I have ever fainted, but I just haven't.
Similar thing, like your story and your journey, it's just swap it out with fainting and there's me.
Yeah, exactly. It is. And it's just the same fear, which is just losing control of your body and what happens to you and not feeling like you're in control of it, and real fear and panic coming from that, like a real fear where it takes over your body and it controls your life to the point of, not leaving the house, which is, it gets bad.
Yeah, it can get really, really bad, which is the scary thing. I think that's why we get so afraid of the panic attacks and so afraid of the anxieties, because it can get so dark.
Yeah, I know, dude. It really does.
I think that there's always going to be times where it's like really crappy, and then there's going to be times where it's amazing. And like you said, you didn't even think of anxiety that one summer. You know what I mean? So it's definitely like a flux and flow thing. And I think learning to cope has been really
important.
Empowering.
What does coping look like for you?
Yeah, I want to know for you guys too. For me, it depends on everything's so situational and like depends on the level of things that I'm experiencing. But things like drawing or doodling or writing really help me. Like pen to paper really, really, for some weird reason, calms me down because it completely shifts my focus. Anything that can kind of snap me into like concentrating on something else. When it was really bad, I would like play little games on my iPhone and it would kind of like take away my anxiety in a way, because I was so concentrated on, playing whatever Candy Crush or something mindless,
Yeah, distraction. It's anything that's distracting. And the drawing thing I can relate to. I am a terrible artist, but I once had an iPad briefly because my laptop broke. So I went and I got an iPad, and there's this app that tattoo artists use. I forget what it's called. Procreate. And I used to just trace tattoos, like trace people, like art, like art from Google, trace the tattoos and, make them like outlines of, they look crazy. They look really cool. Yeah. But when I would do them, I would be like so into it that like I couldn't think. It was so calming.
Yeah, it's very therapeutic. Another thing that helps me a lot is cooking. Cooking and baking. Anytime like my mental health is like going down, you can tell because there's like 50 baked goods on the counter. Like, there's cupcakes and brownies and muffins, and it's just something that is very calming because I think you're so concentrated on like getting the steps done. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yes.
Coping has always been so weird to me, but like, I know I've talked about this before, but like working out, bouldering, those are two of the biggest.
Oh, that's huge. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah. Working out has like, I just finished an 8-week program. I started another one today, but like, I've never been this addicted to working out. And I feel like 75% of it is because of how good I feel mentally, like after my workouts. It's like,
wild.
It's unbelievable. Like to self-confidence, like everything boosts. Like there's no negatives to working out. So I'd say that's what's been biggest lately. But also like, I was going to bring up acceptance. Like, is that coping? You know what I
mean? I think that's a huge thing. I think once you accept, then you can cope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you,
like when you're in that stage where you're fighting it, then you're still going to all the doctors, trying to find out what's wrong with you, doing blood work. You're like, give me a diagnosis. This can't just be anxiety. Like you're in that stage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's the word. That was like my entire childhood was that stage.
Because honestly, my first panic attack, I said, was young, age 12. Like probably when I was about 15 years old, teenage years, the doctors would always say like, oh, working out helps. And I would be like, so annoyed. Like I would be like,
yeah, me too.
Like pretty sure doctors would still say that.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But what I'm saying you don't know, you don't get it until.
Yeah. At that age, I was like, what do you mean I'm dying and you're telling me to go work out? Like,
yeah.
Like,
no, yeah. Usually when like, if I have someone comes to me and says like, hey, I might go to the doctor. So I'm always like, no, like just go to a psychologist. Honestly, like doctors will give you pills. They'll tell you like the basic, like make sure you're working out, make sure you're drinking enough water. It's like, no, you don't want to hear that. You want like acceptance, cognitive therapy. And
well, I didn't believe, I've said this before. I didn't believe my dad. And he told me how diet was like vital to mental health. And I was like, dude, you're fucking crazy. I'm dealing with some real shit here. Eating food isn't going to make me better.
It's so true. I was going to touch on that too. It's another thing. Like I got into a really good, like when I discovered anxiety was helped by working out, I got into a really good health and fitness regimen. And I noticed the difference. Like when you're eating processed foods and bad stuff.
Yes.
Whoa, like it's all stuff you have to kind of be a little bit mature and like accept, because it sounds like it would never make a difference, but it really truly does. So if you're out there listening, like a good workout and like I guess taking care of yourself properly really
make the changes.
I was gonna say it's just taking care of yourself. Like that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, you have to be mature to make the changes, because you also have to accept the fact that you are not like the rest of the people that you know. Like you are not like your friends.
I need a full 8 hours of sleep or I can't function.
Yes, there are certain things that you have to do to function normally. And for you, 8 hours of sleep. For me, I can't eat sugary things and drink caffeine and stay up all night and not be a completely different person the next day. I will be a zombie or totally anxious mess and not be able to control myself. Like, I need to take care of myself. I don't get
sleep.
Yeah.
Anxiety is 10 times worse.
Exactly. And so you have to be mature enough to know that you aren't like the people around you who can get drunk every night and just wake up the next day like nothing happened. Like it's your brain is a little bit different. You have to take care of it, and you have to do things that other people don't have to do to feel good. Other people don't have to do it. That's just the facts. Like,
yeah, I almost feel like our brain or our bodies are more sensitive to like all the stimulation, like sometimes even something really loud,
yes,
really bright lights.
We have oversensitized nerves.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's hope and help for your nerves. But that's how she puts it. It's just what does she say? It's just nervously ill people like us just have oversensitized nerves. I can't remember what she said, but it was really good. It made me
so
think.
Much sense.
Yeah, it was really good. Should we go over some questions?
Yeah, so I got some questions off Instagram, and one of the girls wrote in and she said, how do you cope with anxiety that usually happens at night? And I found this question really interesting. Do you guys have anxiety at a certain time of day more so?
Mm-hmm. I get major sad boy hours. Usually I'll call Max at like 7 or 8 p.m. because I just get I randomly just get sad and anxious. And so, yeah, I don't know. But yes,
I don't get sad. I get anxious. I get anxious at night, and I have the perfect answer for her. I have a full blown, this is my routine answer for her. Like if she were to take on my routine, like literally, it might help. So what I do is, I get in bed. And I used to not want to turn the lights off because I'd be like, that just means it's nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's nighttime, I get anxious. If the lights are off, it means I'm going to bed, and that makes me anxious. So obviously I'm older now. I'm past that point. I can turn my lights off. It still does a little thing to me where I go, oh God, that's sad. Like the day's over. It's very odd, but it still happens. But so I get into bed and I cannot fall asleep. I could, I'm sure, but I won't even try. I can't fall asleep without, there's just a list of shows that I could go through right now. And I'll go through a few for this girl. Yeah, I will go through a few for her because they are such feel good shows. And for some reason, when I watch them, I just feel good. And there's shows I just have to watch. I just have to watch to go to bed. And just to name off a few, don't want to get into a total show thing here, but there's a few that'll make you feel good. Friends is a great one. How I Met Your Mother. No, it's not.
It's Friends so safe.
So
The
safe,
Office.
Makes you
The
feel
Office.
home. The Office is great too. I love The Office, but
it's anything that doesn't have any crazy emotional triggers.
Yeah, it's just fun and normal. Like it's just fun, and you know what?
Yeah, it doesn't make you feel any kind of feelings, even like really happy, really sad, really scared, really. I feel like it has to be very neutral. I will put on the Food Network and feel like that is like therapy.
So calming. Calming.
See, okay, so that's another thing that I do is because my fear revolves around illness and being sick and nausea. I will watch food things on YouTube. So people eating or cooking food, and it's crazy because you'd be like, that's weird, but
no, it's not.
It makes me hungry, and I love falling asleep hungry because it means I'm falling asleep not nauseous.
Interesting.
Damn,
isn't that crazy?
Never talked about that. Wow.
I watch like the Dave Portnoy pizza reviews, and I'm like, that pizza looks so good.
Yeah, I love to fall asleep to the Food Network.
Food helps.
I mean, like besides the darkness, but like when night rolls around, obviously your limits what you can do. Like obviously you can do so much more stuff during the day. So I think it's just finding stuff to do at night that distracts you, reading, watching movies.
Like sleeping nighttime routine.
Yeah.
Yes. There's a reason that you feel anxious at night. The sun goes down, it's dark, and it's creepy. But for me, there's like some sort of trauma there because my worst moments of anxiety and panic were always when, like, if you looked out the window, it was just black.
That makes a lot of sense. I think like muscle memory, like if you had a bad panic attack at night, you're going to remember nighttime was not good.
Yes. And that's like has stuck with me forever because in the day it's like and especially sunshine, like if it's sunny out and I'm like, I can like have a panic attack and be like, well, look outside. It's sunny.
It is wild to me that when it's gloomy, I'm so much more anxious.
And I'm in the gloomiest place ever for the past year.
I can't deal.
I'm going to disagree. I think if I'm anxious, I'm going to want a dark, stormy night. Like,
well, yeah. Cause you're like,
I don't know. Like
you bask in the sadness.
Yeah. I don't know. I soak in it.
Yeah. You lean in hard. And
I think that's the thing, like different things comfort us differently. Like it's so something that comforts you could like trigger me.
Right.
It's funny though, because like I said, I know that's like, I know like deep down and like the sun is going to be best for me, but
yeah, like you want to live in Seattle, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Ooh.
Yeah, like I would probably
done, so.
I would not live very long.
Make it.
I'm literally in Minnesota right now. Like you could say Minnesota's worse than Seattle. Like it's going to be an upgrade for me anyway.
I don't think so, dude. You got some sun there. You've been calling me and the blue sky's out.
Why did I think you guys were like living
together?
No, in like the same town.
Yeah, we are so far away. Well, yeah, we're not as far away as you and I are.
We got West Coast, East Coast, and Midwest.
Right in the middle.
He's a Southern person.
How can I become stronger mentally and emotionally? Sometimes my emotions rule me.
That's good. That's good because, but I would argue that just asking that question, you are underestimating how strong you are because that's so self-aware. Like you're asking, how do I become stronger emotionally, because you're aware that your emotions take over your logic, which I always say there's that logic versus emotion game. Sometimes emotion's just going to win. Like it's just too powerful. You feel too much. Just like, when I'm scared to go to Florida, but I'm going to go, but emotionally I'm scared.
Yes, you are.
I'm going, but I'm going soon. And logic, logic is everything will be okay and it'll be fine, it'll be fun. So emotion wins because I feel scared and that's what I feel. So but to acknowledge that and to say, how do I do this? You're already well on your way by just acknowledging it and wanting to be stronger mentally and face the facts that sometimes emotions are gonna kind of win over logic. But that being said, what?
I'm gonna recommend meditation for him.
Just meditation.
Yeah, I think prayer for me, like my faith has been something really, really helpful throughout my whole journey with anxiety. So I think prayer, meditation, whatever it is,
prayer
will help
is
for sure.
Meditation for a lot of people, and for me at a lot of times too. It's like
journaling.
Journaling. Reading
Getting
books
on paper. Mm-hmm.
Read the books. Read Dare. Dare's a big one. That one helped me a lot.
Yeah, I think also emotions, or at least for me, telling myself emotions are temporary. Like, you know what I mean? You're not going to feel that way forever. And like, you can't let it take over because it's not a permanent thing. I don't know.
Yeah, that's so true. It's kind of like you're not your thoughts. Like if I used to just think everything that I thought was true, which is crazy because I have crazy thoughts all the time.
That's a pretty big step though, is to be able to like be aware that or just like believe that you are not your thoughts, and what that looks like I'm still trying to figure out, but I don't even know what I'm saying.
Better at it.
It is everything. All of this stuff is it takes a lot of work to kind of to each
you can't just sit back and be like, someday I'll get better. Like it's work.
You have to take steps. Yeah, step by step is something that like I always think about. I always think little by little, like day by day. Like you can't when you have crippling anxiety, you can't really think about the big picture. It's too overwhelming. Get through the day, have a good day, and that's like a little victory.
Just make it to tomorrow. Yeah.
Boom.
I got another question. We had a question about the question earlier was, how do you cope with anxiety at night? And then someone wrote, how do you snap out of morning anxiety thinking that the day is going to be awful due to X, like due to something that maybe is going to go on that day that you're nervous about?
Okay. I have my answer is the reason, and we talked about this, Jazmin, we talked about some days are just off days. That's okay. It's actually better to just realize that it's an off day and, take it easy and wait for tomorrow. And that's, yeah, that happens, but it's facing it. But I will also say that there's a reason for your anxiety in the morning, and that's cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone that is meant to wake you up and get you up and ready for your day. But when you're overly sensitive and an anxious person, it scares you, and then you release adrenaline, and then you're, in panic mode or anxiety mode. So just know that the physiology is there, and that's what's happening, and it's not, you're not in any danger. So I think just acknowledging that's what it is helps me a lot. Like, oh, that's just cortisol running through my blood. And then
yeah, like I think it is helpful to understand your body, like listen to your body and kind of know.
Yep.
It's comforting because it takes that, like, what's going on feeling away.
Yes, exactly. The what's going on feeling is what circulates into like the panic cycle, because what's going on,
what's happening to me,
what's going on is terrifying. What's going on in my body, that's not a good thing to think, because it's like you always want to know what's happening. And so when you're not sure, so if you just overall say, well, it's just anxiety, you can blame it on anxiety. It is anxiety.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me too, when I was younger, I would always like tell my mom my symptoms, and she'd be like, it's just anxiety. Like you're having anxiety. And I would get so annoyed because it felt like
my mom did the same thing. She would just say, it's anxiety. I'd be like, Mom, I'm nauseous as fuck.
I'm dying.
Like, it's anxiety. And I'd be like, how?
Yeah. It's so funny. It's true.
Ryan?
Sorry, I'm just like soaking all of this in.
There was one other thing. Fun. Oh, what I was going to say, because the question said, how do you snap out of morning anxiety thinking the day is going to be awful due to X, like whatever. So for me, something that really gives me a lot of anxiety is like the wind up. Like if I'm anticipating something, it is so horrible. Like it's like that feeling of dread, like that like if I have to go do something like that's triggering for me, for example, for me, anything medical is triggering. Like if I have to go take blood, go get blood work done, and I know that, oh my gosh, like it's the wind up. And then once you do it, you're like, oh, like nothing happened. I'm still, and a lot of the times it's a relief. And even after a panic attack, sometimes I'll feel like a relief. Like I'll feel like a very good release and be like, oh,
yep,
that happened. I'm fine.
I was just talking to someone about that the other day, with how, obviously, like you want to invite the panic in and you want to invite the anxiety in. But she invited it in because she know how good she would feel after. So it was like, she said it would like build up, and then she would just invite it all in just because she knew how good it felt just to release it all. So it's like, all right, bring it on. Let's get this done with.
It sounds so like sick and twisted.
Yeah,
it does. But I know what you mean. The other thing about listening to a podcast today, and it was like, a lot of like, you just can't control a lot of the anticipation. Like you're going to give blood today or whatever. Like you can't control like what happens. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's what anxiety is. Like you're living.
Yeah, but accepting that is like,
you have no control over what happens. And
I don't like that.
8 hours.
Yeah,
I know, Mac. Well, no, that's supposed to be a good thing, dog. Like living in the now, like, you know what
I know.
Present.
Control is such a, I battle with it so much, because I go back and forth whether I want it, and like I just control over my body and how I feel, and then I'm like, wait, but do I even have control of that? And then I say that out loud, and that fucking scares the shit out of me, because I'm like, oh my God, I don't have control over my body. So, but yeah, the anticipation thing, I'm anticipating driving to Florida in 4 days, so I'm feeling it hard.
Yeah.
I'm just pretending it's not happening until the second I have to go.
And then one thing that also kind of helps is like when I play the like so what game in my head, like I'll think of a horrible scenario.
Yep.
And I'll be like, okay, like that'll happen. So what? And then what? And then what? And then it kind of gets to this place where it's like, okay, and then I die. Like, okay, then I'm dead.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's so good. That's what
it takes the power away.
That's okay. So that's what my psychiatrist or my psychologist does. Like my counselor, they'll be like, you know, like I'm scared to get on this plane. Why? Because I could have a panic attack. And then what? He's like, I have a panic attack. So, and then like, it's always just
You've had them before.
Yeah.
It's, that was really funny. You brought that up, but
it's so really true wonderful.
Though. Yeah. I think that's in Dare too, Max. The so what thing.
Yeah. So like what? And my mom used to say that too. She'd be like, so what? You've thrown up before. And I'm like, but I never wanted to hear it. I'd be like, I fucking hate throwing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's true if you take the power away.
What's the first thing that you're gonna like? You're gonna be like, they don't know like what it feels like. You know what I mean? So I guess it's hard to accept that sometimes, like the so what's
because of how scary it is.
Yeah, I'll be like, well, it's like it's crippling. Like a lot of people, like you might not know what this feels like. So that's always kind of hard to take in.
There's always different like levels and different like if you're at like a 3, then you could kind of like cope certain ways.
Yes.
You're at like, like different things help you at different times. Like
that's so true. So I think about that a lot.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. It's very like situational and individual, and there's different, you're on the spectrum, and sometimes you're over here and sometimes like the littlest thing will send.
Yeah. Cause when you're in like freak out mode, it's a lot harder to accept the fact that panic is not that big of a deal and you'll make it through, because you're in panic mode already and it's too late and it's already taken over your physical symptoms. You know, you have all the physical symptoms. So it's like, you can tell yourself you don't care, but you do care because it's happening and you're scared of it.
Yeah. And I think that it's so wild to me that just one thought can just set you off, and like it can be so physical, like your heart is racing, you're sweating, you're all because of a stupid thought, you know?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, Jazmin, you're doing big things in LA. So like that's inspiring as hell to me to sit here, and I'm a filmmaker, so I'm in the creative industry too. But to hear what you're doing out in LA is super inspiring and super cool to know that like you're doing these like pretty stressful thing in my eyes, you know, like picking out like wardrobes for celebrities is like in my eyes is like pretty damn big, and you deal with panic disorder. So I just want to say super cool. And hopefully if you're listening, that's inspiring as fuck to you too, because it should be. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that really does mean a lot. And I think that if you do have anxiety, you can still do amazing, huge things. Like it might be really rough. It might be more difficult for us, but we can still find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
Be stronger in the end.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, you're going to have to come visit when I move back to fucking California.
Oh, I will, Doug.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up.
Jazmin, where can they find you?
At Jazmin Whitley on Instagram and Twitter. And I have a YouTube channel called Closet Raid where I post fashion content every week.
Fire. Awesome. Amazing. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was fun. I could talk all day about anxiety.
I know.
Sometimes
we'll do this again. We'll do this again.
No, we're gonna have to have you.
Do you guys find that talking about anxiety can set you off sometimes?
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Because I get too deep and I start thinking about how
deep
I like just get too deep. I get too deep. I'm like, oh wow, that scared me.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
No, we'll have you on as a resident guest. You'll be
I would love to be on anytime you guys want to have me on.
No, we will. We dead ass will.
Phone me in.
Just every week.
Yeah. You're just gonna be a part of it now.
Yeah, I'm just a member.
Yeah, a host, a third host.
Well, cool. Max, where can they find us?
Attacking Panic Pod everywhere.
Awesome.
At Max Flaws.
At Ryan K. Christians.
Yeah, follow. Do the Spotify thing. That thing helps.
Do the things.
The 5-star things.
Follow. Give the ratings. Subscribe.
The ratings help.
Awesome.
We got a few.
Give a 5-star. I have to go rate you guys.
Please do.
Right now. And if you're listening, you have to too.
Yeah, right now. Do it right now.
Peace.